Good morning. Again, welcome back to our physics class. Today, we are going to discuss about electromagnetic induction or EMI. So, you studied something basic about electromagnetic induction in class 10th. I think you remember all those things like what is electromagnetic induction, just the very basic definition of electromagnetic induction, and what is mutual induction, and about the galvanometer, how the galvanometer works when it is connected to the coil, and what is a bar magnet. So I think you know all such basic things. So now this year we will study some more detail about all these things. So in this chapter electromagnetic induction, first we have to discuss about the experiments of Faraday and Henry. The experiment conducted by Faraday and Henry. This is the very basic, our basic experiment itself, basic experiment for electromagnetic induction. In that one, they conducted these experiments in three ways. So we will discuss one by one what it was. So first what they done is, Faraday and Henry, they took a coil, that is a coil of insulated copper wire which contains many turns. So let us consider the coil like this. You have a coil with many turns, and this coil, actually this coil is connected to a galvanometer. So this coil is connected to a galvanometer. This coil is connected to a galvanometer. Then the next part of the experiment, what they done is, this coil is connected to the galvanometer and they kept a magnet near to it, north and south, like this. Such a magnet they kept near to this one. So you know, 10th standard you studied, when you keep a magnet near to a coil, nothing is going to happen. This will not show any deflection. Now, in the same experiment, if you move the magnet towards this side or towards the coil, when we move the magnet towards the coil, this galvanometer will show a deflection. That you studied in 10th standard. That is, when we move a magnet towards a coil, the galvanometer will show a deflection. What is the meaning of the deflection here? That deflection just shows that there is a current in the coil. That is, when you move this magnet towards the coil, it produces a current there, or it produces a EMF, and the current is due to the EMF. So this movement of the magnet produces a EMF here. Now the second part of the experiment is the same experiment they conducted by interchanging the north and south. So instead of pushing north towards the coil, they push the south towards the coil. So what will happen? That also we discussed already in 10th standard. So what will happen? Instead of north, if you push south here, what will happen? Instead of showing a deflection towards this side, it will show the deflection towards that side. So the first point is, if you move a magnet near a coil, it will produce a deflection here, or it will produce a current. Now, if you change the direction of the magnet, or if you change the direction of the magnetic field, then what will happen? The direction of the current also will change. That's what we discussed in 10th standard. So that was the first experiment. Now in the same experiment you can try in another way also. That is, instead of pushing this magnet towards the coil, you can take the magnet away from the coil. So when you push the magnet towards the coil, if the galvanometer shows a deflection towards one side, then when you take the magnet away from the coil, it will show the deflection in the opposite direction. That is, when you push, it will show one deflection. When you take back, it will show the deflection in the opposite way. Or again you can say, pushing north toward that side is same as taking the south toward this side. So if you have a particular direction deflection for north when you are pushing, when you take it back, it will show opposite direction. Or if you put south also, it will show the same direction. So pushing north and taking north will show opposite direction. Similarly, pushing north and pushing south also will show opposite direction. So once more, the entire thing we will discuss. That is, if you push the north towards that side, it will show deflection to one side. If you push the south, it will show the opposite direction. And again, if you take the north away, it will be opposite to the pushing north towards that side. So, what we will understand from this one is, if you change the direction of magnet, that is the movement of the magnet, it will show different direction. Or if you change the direction of movement, then also it will show the different direction in this current. But if you keep this magnet inside this one without any movement, that's also possible. You can just keep this magnet inside the coil without any movement. In that case, it will not show any deflection. So the movement of the magnet produces a current, but if you keep inside, it will not show any deflection. So this is the first part of the experiment. Now, in the second part of this experiment, what they have done is they have made a small change in this one. That is, instead of this magnet here, what they have done is they placed another coil here. In this place, they placed another coil. They placed another coil here, and this coil is connected to a supply. That is, we have a battery here. So this coil is connected to a battery here. So you know, when current is passing through this coil, it produces magnetic field. So its magnetic field will be naturally passing through this one. It will produce magnetic field. These magnetic field lines will be there like this. So this magnetic field will be passing through this one. Now, instead of moving that magnet there, what they done is, here they were moving this coil itself. So when they move this coil, it will show a deflection here. That is the work done by the magnet in the previous case. Now the same work is done by this coil. So this coil makes this is working like a solenoid. Already we know that the solenoid is having a magnetic property which is similar to the bar magnet. So in this case, when a current is passing through this one, it will show a deflection here. Here also very important, if you keep it stationary here, it will not make any deflection here. That is, if a current is passing through this one, it will make a magnetic field. And this coil is kept in the magnetic field, but it will not show a deflection if this coil is kept stationary. But if you move this coil toward that side, what will happen? It will show a deflection toward this side. And if you take it away, it will show a deflection toward that side. Or we can say it just work like a bar magnet itself. So here the current in this one makes a magnetic field, and when that magnetic field is changing, it creates a current in the second nearby coil. Now this is one part of the experiment. That is the second part of the experiment. In the third part of the experiment, they conducted something similar to this one, but they added a key to this one. They added a key here. A tap key they added here. Now the difference in the experiment is, previously they were moving this one to that side and this side. Now in the third case, they not moved this one. They were not moving it here. They just switching off or tapping the key. So what they understood is, when the key was opened, that is, there is no current through the coil. Here also no deflection was seen. But once you tap, when you tap, immediately a current passes through this one. So you have to remember that the current was 0 first time. When you switch on that one, the current will go to a maximum value. So it takes a small time. That is from 0 to going maximum, especially when it's inside a coil, it will take some time. So in that time, this will show a deflection. But when the steady current is passing through this one, just like what we discussed in the previous case, it will not show any deflection. So at the time of switching on, this will show a deflection. Afterwards, when you keep it switched on, it will not show any deflection. Similarly, when you switch off this one, that time also it will show a deflection, but there is a small difference. That is, when you switch on, if it is showing deflection toward this side, when you switch off, it will show a deflection towards the opposite side. So there is a small difference in that. So what is the meaning of all these three experiments? If you keep a coil in a magnetic field, it won't produce any current in the coil. What we need is, we have to move the bar magnet. Moving the bar magnet means your coil is kept in a changing magnetic field. Second case, here what we done, we used a coil and we were moving the coil in the second case. There also, moving the coil also makes a changing magnetic field. And in this case also, it is showing a current in the coil only when the switching on or switching off, that process is going on. That what is the meaning of switching on? There is a change in the magnetic field. First the magnetic field was 0, it is going to maximum. When you switch off also, already it was maximum, it is coming to 0. So the total result of these three experiments is that when a coil is kept in a changing magnetic field, it produces a EMF or it produces a current. Once more, when a coil is kept in a changing magnetic field, it produces a current through the coil or it produces a EMF. That was the total result of all these experiments. Based on this one, Faraday made a law, that is Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Now we will discuss about that one. What is this Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction? Before going to the Faraday's law, you should know about the magnetic flux. This magnetic flux is something similar to the electric flux, what you studied in the previous chapter. So if you consider there is some magnetic field lines passing through a particular area. For example, you have the magnetic field lines which is passing like this. So all these are magnetic field lines. And we have an area here. For example, you have an area A here like this. In this case, we have to consider the area as a vector, same as what we done for the electric flux. So if the magnetic field direction V is in this way, your area will be in this direction. I think you know that one. Whenever we consider area as a vector, the direction of the area vector will be perpendicular to the actual area. So our area vector is like this. Now this area vector makes an angle theta with the magnetic field. So now the magnetic flux is defined as phi. You will write phi B. So this phi B says it is magnetic flux. Phi B is equal to B dot A, or phi B is equal to B A cos theta. See here, this B and A both are vectors here. We are considering area as a vector. So this magnetic flux is given by B A cos theta, same as the electric flux. Or physically we can say the flux or the magnetic flux is a measure of number of field lines passing through the particular area. So if your area is standing perpendicular, physical area is perpendicular, means our area vector will be parallel. That time the entire flux is passing through that one. The flux will be maximum when your area is standing like this. If your area is standing like this, then the number of field lines passing through that one will be less. For example, if you consider this book area, the field lines are coming like this. When the book is like this, the entire field line is passing through this one. So in that case, we have BA cos theta. Cos theta value becomes 1 in that case. So the magnetic flux is maximum. When you keep like this, the number of field lines passing through this area will reduce. When it is exactly like this, the field lines are not passing through that one. Field lines are going above this one and below this one. That is not crossing this one. Then the flux will become 0. So the flux is maximum when the area is perpendicular to this field. Area perpendicular means the actual area vector is like this. So the vector B and vector A will be parallel in that case. So when you draw like this, don't take the angle of the magnetic field and the area as 90 degree. In this case it is 0 degree because both are in the same direction. So that confusion should not come here. So the measure of number of field lines passing through this area, that is called as magnetic flux. And the equation for magnetic flux is phi B is equal to B dot A, or phi B is equal to B A cos theta. And you know this is a dot product or it is a scalar product. So magnetic flux is a scalar quantity. Magnetic flux is a scalar quantity or it's a dot product. In the previous part, we discussed if you have a coil and if the magnetic field of the coil is changing, now we study the magnetic flux. Now we can say the changing magnetic flux. So how much is the EMF induced in the coil? That EMF and the change of magnetic flux, these two are related. So these two are related with our Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. When the word Faraday's law is coming, don't confuse this Faraday's law, because you are studying another Faraday's law also, that is Faraday's law in electrolysis also you are studying. This is Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, okay, or Faraday's law of induction. Here, according to this Faraday's law, it says that the magnitude of the induced EMF in the circuit is equal to the time rate of change of magnetic flux through the circuit. That is, EMF is proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux in simple way. In simple words, we can say EMF is proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux. So if you write as equation, how we can write? The EMF is given by this E. EMF is equal to d phi v by dt. So this is our Faraday's law. But along with this one, we have a minus sign also here. This minus sign says the induced EMF is in the opposite direction. Its physical meaning and its details we will study in the next topic. That is, we have something called as Lenz law. Then this negative sign is coming due to Lenz law. What is Lenz law and how to do it, that we will do in the next topic. So now our Faraday's law says that the magnitude of the induced EMF in a circuit is equal to the time rate of change of magnetic flux through the circuit. Or in simple words, you can say the EMF is proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux. So if more fast something is moving, then the EMF will be more. In the case of generator, and I will study, if you have a coil here, you have a magnet, you are moving it very fast, means the rate of change will be more. So or the EMF will be more. It will produce more EMF, means more current. So if you are not at all moving, if you are keeping inside, the flux is constant. The flux is not changing. So it will not produce any EMF. That's also clear. So this is for one coil, single circle. Now if you have a coil where just like a solenoid you have so many turns, so you have to take that number of turns also. If you have a coil with many turns or n turns, there the equation you can write as E is equal to minus, here we will take n number of turns into d phi v by dt. So in practical case, it is not a single ring. We will have many coils, many number of turns. So we will use this one. Okay, so this is very important. This equation is very important in the case of entire electromagnetic induction. Or this is the basic or the base of the electromagnetic induction. That is Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Now we already discussed why this negative sign comes. This negative sign is due to a law called Lenz law. So what is this Lenz law or Lenz's law? So we are going to discuss that one as the next part. Okay. Now we will discuss about Lenz law. L-E-N-Z apostrophe S, Lenz law or Lenz's law. Actually, we can read it as Lenz law only. Lenz law. Okay. So this Lenz law is the reason for that negative sign, and there is so much application of this Lenz law also. So the statement of Lenz law is just related with that negative sign only, and afterwards we will go for the more explanation of that one. So the Lenz's law or the Lenz law says that the polarity of the induced EMF is such that it tends to produce a current which opposes the change in the magnetic flux that produced it. Once more, the polarity of the EMF is such that it will produce a EMF which will oppose the flux which produced it. That is, we are moving the magnet. This magnet produces a flux change in this coil. So in this one induced EMF will be there. That will be in such a way that will oppose this magnetic flux. Oh, sorry, the magnetic field or flux. Okay. So once more, if I draw a diagram, you will understand that one clearly. You think about a situation where you are producing or you are making a coil, the same experiment, a single coil is there and you are pushing a north pole towards that side. That is, you have a magnet like this. For this magnet, you have the south pole here and north pole here. South and north pole is like this. you are pushing this north pole towards a coil. So you have a coil here like this. Okay, you have a coil here. I am just making it as a full circle. Okay. This is a coil. Now, what this Lenz's law says is, when you push this north toward that one EMF is induced in this coil. The induced EMF will be in such a way that EMF will produce another magnetic field. That's clear? That is, you are pushing this magnet toward this coil. That in that coil, an EMF will be induced and a current will be there. And that current will produce another magnetic field. That magnetic field will oppose this magnetic field. So when you are pushing the magnet towards that side, you are pushing north towards that side. So opposite of that one means what is that? This also should be north. Or the current induced in this loop will be in such a way that it produces a north pole this side. That is, this side of the loop will be north pole. So in order to produce the north pole, how the current should be? Right hand rule. So the current should be like this. That is, in this loop, the current should be like this. Once more, if you not understood, once more listen carefully. You have a magnet here. So this magnet, when you are pushing, here we have the north pole. Okay, we will do it with the original magnet itself. Okay. So you have a magnet here in north and south is marked here. This is north and this is south. So you have a coil here. When you push this one towards this coil, here in this coil, it will produce a current. And that current will produce a magnetic field. That magnetic field should oppose this north pole. So opposing this north pole means this side of the coil should be north. This side should be south when you push. So if this side is north, from this picture, in order to produce this side north, how should be the direction of current? You know the right hand rule. North means magnetic field is coming out. So the current should be like this. That is anti-clockwise. So when you push this north toward this coil, here it should be anti-clockwise. That's what our Lenz's law says. Now if you push it back, what will happen? This side will make south, so that to pull it inside. That is, in the same picture, you see here, we can draw it in different ways. Instead of this north, if you push south toward that direction, then what will happen? The current will be like this. You can easily remember the direction like this. Yes. Like this. And if you push north, it will be just like N here. So how it is coming here? Because you are pushing south towards that side. When you push south here, what happens? Here also south should come, then only it will repel. So if south should come here means you have to use the right hand rule, so the current should be like this. And if you pull this south, this side, pulling the south towards this side is same as pushing the north there. So here north will come. So if you push north towards the coil, this side will become north. If you push south toward the coil, this side will become south. Opposite, if you remove north towards away or north away from this one, this side will become south. If you remove south from here, then it will become north. Or simply we can say, whenever we are changing the magnetic flux, what change you are doing? This induced current will be in such a way that it will oppose the change which you made. So that is our Lenz's law. So our minus sign in the equation, previous equation, minus d phi by dt, that negative sign is due to this Lenz's law. Now why this Lenz's law is coming like this, or what is the reason for this one, that also we will discuss now. Now you see here, we think about this situation. When you push, what happens? This will repel this one. Now if it is not repelling, what will happen? If you push here, this north, here in actual case north is coming. You think that north is not coming, here south comes. Then what will happen? If you slowly push from here, this south will attract this north, so it will get accelerated toward that side. That is, with a small push, it will get accelerated. We have the equation F is equal to ma. So if something is accelerating, there should be some force. So without doing any work, it will get accelerated toward that side. That is not right. That is against the law of conservation of energy. So to hold the law of conservation of energy right, our Lenz's law should be right. That is, our Lenz's law is in accordance with our law of conservation of energy. If Lenz's law is not valid, then what will happen? When you push this north, here south will come. If south comes here, the magnet will get attracted toward that side. So without doing any work or without applying any force, it will do some work. That is against the law of conservation of energy. So to hold this law of conservation of energy right, our Lenz's law also should be right. Many times this question came. Explain that the Lenz's law is in accordance with the law of conservation of energy. Then you have to tell this one. That is, if Lenz's law is not like this, if it is opposite, the work is done without applying any force. That is not possible. We cannot do work without applying force. So the Lenz's law should be right. So that's about the basic thing about Lenz's law. But application of Lenz's law, you will get 1 mark question. That is also very, very important. Now we will discuss some applications of Lenz's law. How questions can come in the Lenz's law. Okay, so now we will discuss about the first type of application of Lenz's law. In this one, you see here, we have 3 loops here. One by one we have to discuss. First we will discuss about this one. I marked it as A, B and C. First we will discuss about this loop B. So what is happening here is, we have a magnetic field. So we have this cross marks here. So you know, the cross mark says that the magnetic field is into the plane of the board or the plane of the paper. So you have a magnetic field which is into the plane of the paper. Now what we are doing is, we have a loop here. We are taking this loop from outside where there was no magnetic field. We are taking it into the field. So the question is, in which direction the current will be in this one, whether the current will be in the clockwise direction or it will be in the anti-clockwise direction. To find that one, what we have to do is, first we have to find what is the present direction of magnetic field. You can see that the arrow mark is into the plane of the paper, so the present direction is into the plane of the paper. Now when you move this one toward here, what happens actually? In this loop, the magnetic field increases or decreases. That's what you have checked second. So already we got this point, that is the magnetic field is into the plane of the paper. Second one is, when you are taking this one here, what happens? The magnetic flux inside this area is increasing. The magnetic flux inside this area is increasing. So what we have to do? When the magnetic flux is increasing, what our Lenz's law says that? The Lenz's law says that it should oppose. That is, you are trying to increase the magnetic flux. So the current should be in such a way that it will oppose the change. Our change is magnetic flux is increasing. So we have to oppose it. So this loop should produce a current in such a way that it will be opposite to this one. So it should produce a magnetic field toward this side. If you want to produce a magnetic field toward this side, using right hand rule, the current should be like this. So the current should be like this. That is, in this loop, it should be anti-clockwise. I think you understood the point. If you not understood, when you discuss the second one, be careful again. Now in the second case, that is this C. The shape doesn't matter, okay. Shape, how much is the value, their shape is important, okay, because rate of change of is coming, so shape is important. But in this case, whether what is the direction when you are finding out, the shape doesn't matter. Then see here also same situation. What is the first thing to check? What is the present direction of magnetic field? Present direction of magnetic field is into the plane of the paper, like this. Now when you take it outside, what will happen? The magnetic flux reduces. So what Lenz's law says, we have to oppose it. When the magnetic flux reduces, if you are opposing means what you have to do? You have to produce a magnetic flux in the same direction so that we will not allow that one to reduce. So the magnetic flux should be in the same direction. That is, it should be like this. In the same direction. If it is same direction, right hand rule. The thumb is into the plane of the paper. So it should be like this. So it should be clockwise. That's what it says. Now the third case you see, you are moving this one inside the magnetic field itself. So there will not be any EMF because you are not taking it outside, you are not taking it inside. You are simply moving it inside in the constant magnetic field. When you move something inside a constant magnetic field, there is no change, there is no rate of change of flux. So in this case, the case A, there will not be any EMF. In this case, we have a current, we have a EMF. And the current will be in the anti-clockwise direction. Here it will be clockwise direction. It is little bit difficult to understand, but still you can just this much portion of the class. Once more you go back and you watch it once more. Then you will get a clear idea about this one. Now in the same topic you can get another type of question also. That is, you will be provided with a diagram like this. Anyway, the wire can be like this or like this. Anyway, so first we will think about a wire like this. So we have a current I here. And our question says, here we have a loop. Listen carefully. This is a confusing question. We have a current in this direction. And our question says that the current is increasing. It can be increasing or decreasing. First, for easy concept, I am taking about the current increasing. If the current through this wire is increasing, what is the direction of induced EMF in this loop? So for that one, first what you have to discuss here is, first you have to find what is the direction of magnetic field inside this loop due to this wire. You use your right hand rule, so you will get the current is that way, so like this should be the magnetic field. So here the magnetic field is coming out from here, here it is going inside, so the magnetic field is like this, using the right hand rule. Now what it says, the current towards that direction is increasing. If the current towards that direction is increasing, naturally this magnetic field also increasing, that is the magnetic field which is towards this direction, that is increasing. So what Lenz's law says, you have to opposite. How to opposite? This circle should produce a current in such a way that it will produce magnetic field towards that side. So it will be like this. So you will get a clockwise loop. Now same thing, if it is down here, it will change. Okay, because here the direction is different. Now same thing, if the current is steady, it will not produce any EMF. Now instead of this increasing current, if it is decreasing current, then also there will be a change. Clear? Once more, first you find what is the direction of current. Then you find what is the direction of magnetic field inside this loop. 2 steps over. After that, you check whether the current is increasing or decreasing. If the current is increasing, the magnetic field produced by the loop should be opposite to the present magnetic field. If the current is decreasing, then the magnetic field produced by the loop should be in the same direction of the magnetic field. So by using this technique, you can find out what is the direction of the induced EMF in this loop. If it is drawn here, sometimes it can come like this. All these things you can solve it. If you are feeling any difficulty, once more you watch the same video from Lenz's law, then you will get it. Actually, it's a difficult topic. Difficult not in the sense of so much equation and all. The understanding the concept is little bit difficult. But once if you make it clear, that will be clear forever. Now itself, if you get the idea, up to your final examination, you can do it very easily. So today itself, you just make this one clear. What happens? If you have any doubt, you can comment also. On this one, you comment what's your doubt, I will explain that. Okay, so we will wind up now as the first part of this chapter. Remaining parts I will give you later. Thank you.